Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the season finale, season 2 finale, I should say, of HBO's House of the Dragon from the world of Game of Thrones. This has been an interesting season of House of the Dragon. Just going off of the online reaction to the entire season, week to week, it hasn't been as celebrated in, as the past Game of Thrones and last season of House of the Dragon. This has been kind of a mixed reaction this season too, and I would imagine that this season finale is going to have a lot of mixed reaction as well. There's no action. There is zero action in this season finale, and I wasn't really expecting it. I know a lot of people were geared up and amped up for the impending war that is on the horizon to take place in this episode, or at least start. And I didn't, because I felt relegating it to one episode wouldn't do it justice, or part of the episode, because there was still some setup that needed to be put in place here, before we get to the Dance of the Dragon. So I knew it wasn't going to be an action-packed episode. I was really hoping that we didn't see the actual war, and I guess, careful what you wish for, you might just get it. And we didn't get it. But we did get a lot more. If you are a fan of good acting, good writing, good direction, cinematography and landscapes and all this here, you will love this episode. I thought this was one of the better directed, acted, written episodes of the season of House of the Dragon, season 2. And so I decided that since this is the season finale, we're not going to break down this episode. We're going to break down these characters and what they went through this season and their storylines this season to come up with an overall outcome of this season as a whole. And so let's go over the characters here and the actors who play these marvelous roles on this show, beginning with Queen Rhaenyra, who is portrayed by Emma Darcy. Her character in this season, we pick up where she is grieving for the loss of her son, just a mother torn and broken, and in that first episode, and to find the wing of that dragon and his what was it, his cloak or something that she found of her son. And it was that was a heart-wrenching episode to witness this mother have to basically bury her son, even though there was nothing of her son to bury, which made it even worse. But the progression of this character throughout the series, where she wants to fight now. She was missing at first. Now she wants to fight. Her council is imploring her that she's the queen. You're not the one to take up arms and go to war. We're going to see another character do that later on this season when we discuss him, and didn't turn out too well for him. But she really wants to get in the fight and actually fight for her throne, fight for her blood right. And she can't, it's like she's in the corner. They put baby in the corner and she can't do anything about it. All of the men surrounding her, the council, Damon, even her son, pretty much not showing her the respect that she rightfully deserves as queen. And it got to a point midway through the season, actually close to the end. I want to say last week or the week before last, when she slapped old boy and told him, like, look, I think that's on me. I didn't I didn't make y'all fear me or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And I was like, okay, she's getting their mind right now. At least his. And so I thought that was pretty cool. But her trying to be diplomatic, sneaking into King's Landing to talk to Allison early on this season, and come to a compromise here, if you will. And it didn't work. Allison being like, "Oh, too much blood has been shed already. We're too far gone. Whatever, whatever." And for it to come full circle at the end of the season, to where Allison sneaks into Dragonstone and employs to Rhaenyra, and she's like, "Why are you coming? Why? You said it yourself. Blood has been shed. It's too far gone. Armies are marching." It's in that scene, in the season finale between Rhaenyra and Allison. Oh my God! I was sitting there. I was fighting tears. That was Olivia Cook and Emily Darcy. Oh my God! Oh my God! Acting 101, people. 101. Beautiful job by them. I mean, to come full circle, like I said, from the earlier conversation that they had earlier this season to now, and we're to the breaking point now that Rhaenyra has the upper hand. Now that the rabbit has the gun, that energy done changed over with the Greens, and Rhaenyra knows that, but at the same time, that's her friend. That's her sister. She has love for her. They have love for one another. And to come to this point where Allison is telling Rhaenyra, like, look, Aemon's going to leave 3 days. You just come then and take the throne. And no blood has to be shed, whatever. And, Rhaenyra telling her, like, oh, you just want your cake and eat it too here. You want me to just take the throne back, and without your family having to deal with loss like mine has. Once again, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it was. Awesome scene. And for Rhaenyra to tell Allison, like, I can't take the throne without Aegon's head. And you know this. And Allison couldn't say a word. And Rhaenyra telling her, you're going to have to choose now. You have to choose. And the acting in this moment, and no words were spoken after that. It was emoting. Oh, it was so powerful. Like, Allison was trying to get the words out, but her anxiety in her, she was like choking on the words to try to get it out. And Rhaenyra looking at her and seeing the pain that that is on Allison's face, that physically it was killing her, because she knows she has to make this choice, and it was hurting her, and she was starting to cry. I mean, oh my God, that was so powerful. I loved it. It really saved it really saved the season finale for me. It was the acting in this episode. There's another scene that involved two other actors in this episode that were top notch as well. That kind of got me emotional, but this one here was the one that almost had Niagara Falls. it was there. But Rhaenyra, her progression through the season was excellent. Emily Darcy was excellent in this role. It's going to be interesting to see where we go moving forward with this character. Since I started with Allison Hightower, let's might as well stay on Allison Hightower, played by Olivia Cook in this role. She is basically the yin to Rhaenyra's yang. They're the perfect complement for each other, to be honest with you. They it's not good and evil, but it's more white and black, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but they need each other. They need each other. They're like the enemy. It's like Batman and Joker. They despise each other, but at the same time, they need one another. It's that type of relationship. Yet you add the caveat of them being childhood friends and basically grew up as sisters, and their relationship is it's a beautiful one, stemming from season one, not so much this season where a lot has took place. But I love Allison's uh decline, whereas Rhaenyra had a upward trajectory. Allison had a downward trajectory in this season. And she started on the top. She was at the top of the mountain. At the end of this season, she was literally at the bottom. She was in the trenches. She was in the valley. And it was a humbling experience. She just got humbled all the way down that mountain. All through this season, and she was humbled. And it was actually kind of painful to watch. The one thing about Game of Thrones, well, not Game of Thrones, but House of the Dragon, is this season in particular, I didn't know who was the bad guy. Well, let me take that back. I know that Aemon is a bad guy, but I mean, as far as the two lead women here, Allison and Rhaenyra, who's the villain out of this situation? Because I feel bad for both. Now, both have done some stupid stuff that will make you mad. But they, at their core, they're good people. They are good people. They just make dumb decisions that affects everybody around them. And it's sad. It's sad. But I don't really know who to cheer for and who to root against. But I really root for both of them. But you can't. It's impossible because to root for one would be the other's demise. But at the same time, I enjoyed Olivia Cook's performance in this role. Her descent into not madness, but I guess to be put in her place, on multiple occasions, whether it's from her children, from her lover, from her bestie, from the council. I mean, everybody put her in her place, throughout this season. And it was sad to see this fall from grace. Her character is the biggest question mark going forward, because I don't know where else we can go with Allison as a character in this show. What part can she play? Because she's really an outside figure now. She has no power. She has no allegiance. She's on the outside looking in. So she really doesn't affect the story, at least in my viewing. I'm more than certain others can say, oh, well, she can do this. She can be a part of this. She can join this side. She can help with this or whatever. That's cool. I'm just looking at it from my perspective right now. I don't see where she can help the story along. Even though I want to see Olivia Cook return in season 3 and beyond. The other character that, at least I feel is the MVP of this season is Eve Bess. Eve Bess as Rhaenys, man, the queen that never was. I loved her, and her death really, really hurt me. This was the only episode, the episode where she dies was the only action-packed episode in it. Now you can count when they were picking the dragons and the dragons were having a buffet in the penultimate episode, but as far as action throughout, it was that episode. I can't think of which one it was, but her death left a mark on the season. The season really didn't recover after that. It was still good, but it just didn't have that pop, with her, because Rhaenys was the voice of reason for Rhaenyra. She was basically Rhaenyra's hand. She was the one that knew. She was the queen who never was. She was the true king, the true heir, the true heir to the throne. And she constantly showed it with her grace and her dignity and whatnot. And it affected a lot of people, especially her husband Corus, who had another story with him and his bastard children. Well, one end up being picked by a dragon to be a dragon rider. The other put him in his place in the season finale, which was a cool episode. That was the conversation that I was bringing up earlier that kind of had me emotional. How old boy told him, like, look, you trying to help me now. Where were you when I was a young kid? When I didn't have food to eat, but I had to watch you walk around with your other son, who's the heir, and go buy food, and y'all get to go eat by the fire and all this other stuff. And he was a put on a pedestal, and I was just thrown to the side. And now you want to be daddy? No, it's just, no. And I mean that touched. I never went through that personally, but I know people who have, and that's real. So that I felt that. But anyways, back to Renice. Yeah, she was sorely missed when she passed away early on this season. On to characters that I couldn't stand, not because the acting was bad or nothing like that. They were just villains that I just couldn't stand. I want something to happen in it. And number one on that list is Christian Cole. I can string him up and put him on the wall in the New York second. I couldn't stand him. I don't think it was a point in this show I ever liked him. That includes last season. I never did like Christian Cole. I just didn't like him. He has the most punchable face on the show to me. I don't know what it is. Couldn't stand him. But like the character per se, I like the performance. And the performance and the way he's written, that character is written, that's what you're supposed to feel. And it worked with me. Amon, couldn't stand him. Can't stand him. He is conniving and driven by power. He wants more power. And, this dude fired his mom from the council. He turned his brother into a shish kebab. He tried to make his sister become a dragon rider and kill people against her will. And he just torched a whole town out of anger and all this other stuff. He's just a tyrant. He's a tyrant, and it's going to lead to his demise, as his sister told him in the season finale, like, you're going to be dead. You're going to die, and he knows it. He knows it. It's no happy ending at the end of this road you're traveling down, and he knows this. But power, man, power got him drunk, and I can't wait to see how he comes to his bitter end. Damon is another character. Now, he kind of redeemed himself in the season finale. That was a big moment when he bent the knee to Rhaenyra. And that was a huge moment, empowering moment, when he realized all that he was doing is for nothing. She is the chosen one. She is the queen. And for him to do that in front of the soldiers, and it was powerful. I love that scene, but that was the only time this season that I liked Damon. All the rest of the time, he got on my nerves. I'm like, this is pointless, man. You trying to flex your muscle like, oh, I'm the king. You're not the king. You're not the king. So, yeah, he was another one I couldn't stand. But those characters and other characters throughout, I'll be here all day because I liked all of these characters, how they were written into the story. George R.R. Martin, he did the thing with this story, with these books. This is brilliant, I feel, with these characters, and there's so many more that haven't shown up yet that are even more interesting. So I love them all, and all the actors and actresses, performers, unbelievable. The direction all season was pretty good. There was one episode, I want to say episode 7, depending off ultimate episode. That was the one episode that I was like, the direction was kind of off to me. it wasn't bad, but it was kind of off because throughout the season, it's been top tier direction. The best direction I think came in the season finale. You know, the camera work and it was just beautifully shot. This was a beautifully shot season finale, which would make you scratch your head. Like, it really wasn't any action. Just imagine if there was some action in it, you know, with some dragon fights. And that would have been amazing with these landscapes. But we didn't get that. We just got a lot of uh, scenic views around Westeros. But yeah, overall, I think this was a real good season. It wasn't as good as the first season, I feel. The first season was a great introductory into this world, this pre Game of Thrones world that we known and loved all these years. The characters were great. This season here was more of a political thriller. It wasn't any action, you know. It was few and far between, but this was more of a dialogue driven, story driven season, you know. Good storylines, interesting. I just wish they would have had a little more action in between. And I guess that's the theme of this review. The action or the lack thereof, you know, it should have had a little more action. This is what it was promised. That's why we're looking for it, you know. It was promised this was going to be that type of show with the dragons and whatnot. Now we're getting a lot of dragons, which is cool, but I want to see them do something other than torch people who try to ride them. I want to see the dragons fly around and wreak havoc. Last season had a lot of that, to be honest with you, in comparisons to this season. And so we'll see. Now this season left off where everybody they're on the march. So season 3 better have a lot of action because we're there now. Everybody know their role. The armies are marching, dragons are flying in the air, and it went to black. That means when we opened up on season 3, there should be some a nice barbecue, a nice cookout with these dragons and these soldiers and these armies and whatnot. That's what I'm anticipating. But like I said, I still love these characters. I'm not mad at the plot heavy episodes, the dialogue heavy episodes. I'm not mad at it. It's just, man, we had 8 of them. You know, it would have been a cool balance to have maybe like 5-3 ratio, something like that. Yeah, that would have been cool. But to have a 8 across the board dialogue heavy episodes, like, okay, I guess I'm cool with it. But it is what it is. The biggest question is, how long do we have to wait for season 3? Do we have to wait 2 years again before we get a season 3? That's the part that stinks, man. That's the only thing about this that really is like, come on, man. I mean, you know, a year I can wait. A year I can understand, but 2 years, I'm hoping not. I'll hope not, but I have no control over it. I'm gonna have to wait and see, just like all of us. But in any event, this was a good season. If I had to give it a grade, I would give House of the Dragon season 2 a letter grade of a B minus. It was good. You know, I love the characters. I love the acting. I love the writing. It was great. You know, I just wanted more. You know, I was hoping for more. But it's all good. I know that we got more to come. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I would love to know, what did you think of this season of House of the Dragon? Did you find it boring? I talked to a few people who are into the show like I am, and they're like, man, this season is not good. And, you know, I got that from a few people, and you know, I don't like to argue. And so I just sit there, and they're like, oh, you must like it. I was like, yeah, I like it. You know, so I don't know what to say to those comments. I mean, you have the right to your opinion. I don't want to contradict you, and I don't know how to talk you out of it. So I just, okay, have nothing to say. But I enjoyed it. But I can understand at the same time. I understand if you don't. But hey, I would love to know your reason. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show and comment on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me all season long of season 2 to House of the Dragon. I hope that you enjoyed these reviews. I hope you enjoyed the show. But have no fear. Just because we're finished with the reviews of House of the Dragon doesn't mean that we're finished here on the KB Radio Network. We still have other programs here on this network that you can enjoy. Just subscribe to this network if you haven't already. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.